So lately I have been feeling quite frustrated with myself on my journey with what I want to do with this podcast. And not just a podcast, my Hormones and Heartache page, and the direction it's headed in. And that's okay. It's not always rainbows and unicorns. You have to kind of go with it. And I've never claimed to be an expert. I am not an expert. The only thing I am an expert in is PMDD and probably whooping clinicians' arses when it comes down to getting the treatment that I want. But I think I just wanted to be honest with you guys, and I needed to be honest with myself. So when I'm sharing how I'm feeling on my stories on Instagram, it's a form of therapy, and it not only validates how I'm thinking when I'm sharing it, it forces me to face it. So it's a form of accountability. Now, one of the reasons I started sharing this journey, originally I started this journey nearly 8 years ago. And I was one of the very few people. I was an industry PR. I was known as a PMDD influencer because it was during COVID. And PMDD was very much in its infancy. So not a lot of people were talking about it. So I was one of the very few people talking about it. Now, fast forward 7 to 8 years, lots of people know about PMDD. Clinicians are very aware of PMDD. It's very common. And I am so grateful that it is common. That's all I've ever wanted. It's not a competition. I've always wanted the awareness. That's what's important for me, the awareness aspect of it. So along my journey, I have been living with PMDD, managing it, learning how to navigating it, the condition, entering perimenopause. There were so many different things that I was experiencing in life, including about 4 breakdowns in that duration of that over the years, completing my master's, holding down a career, so many things. There were so many variables and so many things that I was experiencing. But it's only now that I felt like I was in a place where I've done well, I've achieved all the things that I wanted to achieve in life, and what did I want to do next? And a lot of it is the advocacy aspect of it. And now that I started the process, with the encouragement of my producer, because he had been nagging me for over a year, giving it a year and a half. He saw something in me and was like, what are you doing about it? What are you doing? What are you doing about it? And I was just like, not yet, not yet, not yet. Because I'm the kind of person, if I want to do something, I want to do it with all my heart and soul. I put 100% in. I'm not 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Unfortunately, I released 2 episodes and I put 1 foot in and I took my entire body out. Not intentionally, only because of burnout, and I think I bit off more than I could chew. So whilst I was away, I had time to reflect and think about what was going on. And my friend I was staying with, I had some really good conversations with her, and it was apparent that I was overwhelmed and overly ambitious with the things that I wanted to do simultaneously, and I just need to take things one thing at a time. And that brought me back to really truly reflecting on and thinking about why I do what I do, which is sharing my journey, this podcast, the advocacy, sharing the educational posts, etc., and the like. So I really had to think, really get back to strip it all back. And it brought me back to COVID. So when I had my first breakdown, just literally 3 months before COVID really hit. COVID was around back then, but in other countries, but it hadn't come to the UK just at that point. And I was still recovering from my breakdown and my suicide attempt. It's a lot to process. But you know what? When the world stopped and lockdown happened, I was able to really process what was going on. The world slowed down. I was redeployed. So my teaching stopped. When I with working with the NHS, I was redeployed to train frontline staff and then the vaccinators. So even though I was busy, the world wasn't busy. And I was sharing my journey. I was jumping on Instagram. I was sharing reels, doing Instagram reels and stories and stuff, talking about where I was at in my cycle, like the contrast in my mood, where I could be so chirpy and really enthusiastic, and then literally within 24 hours I would have a resting bitch face and be like, you know that person you saw yesterday, I don't know where the fuck she went, or I am so sick of my shit, I can't tolerate my own mood, I'm insufferable. So I was really open and transparent with my journey, and I think it resonated with a lot of women back then. And I'm a person who does things by feeling as opposed to just as an act. I'm very big on authenticity and being very true to myself and having integrity. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it properly as opposed to just half-ass something. And I'm very open with my journey. I'm very open as a person. If I mess up, I'm okay with saying that. If I've done something wrong, I'm okay with doing that. It's just who I am. And I think as I was sharing that along my journey, and I think there was an element of curiosity as well because of COVID, and I was frontline and people were like, she works for the NHS and she's talking about PMDD and all that kind of stuff. So I did gain a following, and it was empowering for me and healing in that journey. At that time when I was sharing my stories and talking about stuff and crying openly, I would cry and sob openly on Instagram stories so women would feel less alone. Because when I did have my breakdown and then I spoke to the crisis team and I saw how diabolical the response was from people who are supposed to help you, I vowed and I promised myself, I was like, I never want another woman to feel alone. And this is why I started this. And interestingly enough, I met a friend for breakfast today before recording, and I've known her since I was 16. I'm 41 now, so she's seen me grow my entire life. And I said to her that I feel a little bit lost with where I'm at, with the direction that I'm headed in. And that was the first time I think I said it out loud, that I was feeling a little bit lost about my media strategy. And she said to me, I can help you with that. And I was like, really? She's like, I do this as a day job. Like, why didn't you tell me? And I was just like, it just didn't occur to me. So the universe made it happen for me. You know, we've made arrangements, got in a date for when I can do this. We can sit down and literally execute a strategy, a social media strategy. Because in my phone, I'm not joking, I have at least 2 years worth of content. This phone has 2 years of content of things that I have never shared. And it's just sitting there, which would help people like you, because I know it would benefit me. And if it benefits me, it will definitely benefit you. So as I was scrolling through whilst I was away, I came across this message. Now I have it shared. I'll have it shared up on the screen. And it was from a follower. And this was COVID days. And one of the things she said to me, like I'm paraphrasing her, like, I just wanted to say a big thank you for talking about PMDD. Thanks to you, I have started taking sertraline, and I'm having the first month where I don't feel like throwing myself under a bus. And she was 44 at the time, and she had a daughter who was 4 years old at the time. And I couldn't believe the message I received. Like, I'm the kind of person, what I do is not for fame. This has got nothing to do with clout. This has nothing to do with me gaining a following to be famous. I am beyond uninterested in fame. I don't care for fame. What I care for is making women feel less alone and validating their experiences. And I think what happened was, whilst I was away, seeing this message, reminded me of why I was doing what I'm doing. And the imposter syndrome I'm experiencing currently is part and parcel of this journey. And I don't want to normalize it. Imposter syndrome isn't always necessarily justified when you are experiencing it or going through that, or having those feelings. So I felt like I needed to take a step back and revisit what I want to do. And receiving this message from this person who DM'd me really gave me the motivation and the kick up the backside that I needed to remind me of why I do what I do and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And the days that I do have dips when I've received DMs from people, and I receive a lot of DMs, it keeps me going. And then when I dip out again, it's like I go back to square one. And it is so exhausting because I feel like I'm always having to apologize and explain. Like, it's exhausting having to be in this constant state of apologizing and explaining. And I don't feel like we should have to always apologize and we should have to explain. But out of courtesy and for the sake of communication and transparency, I don't think there's anything wrong in doing that. I think you just, sometimes with the right people, you don't need to explain. So the people who do follow me on my page, I don't need to explain, but I do out of courtesy because I appreciate the support they give me and cheering me on and all of those things. The other thing that I did want to add is that it's become the whole women's health field, and sharing and talking about it has become very saturated. And there's nothing wrong with that because people are still talking about it. And that's all I care about, people who are talking about it. But what there is a lack of is people of color. There's a lot of limitations of people like me that I can relate to. And as a Muslim, Pakistani, British female who is 41 years of age, I struggle to relate with people who aren't necessarily have the same background, demographic experiences as I do. And when it becomes really saturated and it's a lot of noise going on, you start questioning yourself. And I'm not going to lie, I have been questioning myself. I've been questioning, do I belong here? Is there space for me here to do what I'm doing? And I have concluded that yes, there is. There is space for me. I have a very unique selling point. And not only am I a patient expert and I'm learning to navigate the system and I'm going through the treatment pathways, experiencing and having treatment for PMDD, I have my own uniqueness that I bring to this field, and it is needed and it is wanted. And I think I just needed to remind myself of that. And that was by way of remembering these messages and these DMs that I received. And I'm eternally grateful for people who listen to me. Like, there's so many people out there that you could want to listen to, but if you choose to listen to me and share my journey that I'm sharing, I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. And as long as it helps you, that's all that matters to me. And I think that's what I needed to remind myself. So here I am. I'm basically going to regroup with not just my friend, but with my producer. I want you to also message me or DM me or email me, whatever way of communication it is. I prefer DMs personally because I check my Instagram, to be able to share what you want out of, what more you want from me that I could give you. If you want more insights on the NHS, on how to navigate or speak to a GP or a clinician, let me know. But moving forward, especially in season 2, I am going to introduce something I'm really proud of that I've designed myself with the help of my friend's husband, who is a techie, and I'm so grateful for him, to be able to use as a tool on your phone to gain the knowledge that you need and the information that you need and the understanding that you need when you need to go to your GP, when you're trying to figure or navigate or understand what you're trying to learn about your body, what you're experiencing, as a solution. So I am really excited. I'm so excited to share this tool with you guys because it was hard for me to do whilst I had brain fog. And I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you guys so you can give me feedback on what works, what doesn't work, how can I make it better, and how it's helped you. So season 2 is going to be a focus on my passion project that I have really worked hard at. And I'm really excited to see it through with you guys and my journey with it with you.